highly sensitive and highly intuitive people have a hard time in life. So if you're highly sensitive and you're also highly intuitive, life can be tough. And it's not a bad thing, because I think it's a blessing, but also can seem like a curse at times. But you don't realize what a blessing it is when most of the world isn't very intuitive and isn't very sensitive. And so the world kind of makes you feel like it's a bad thing. Oh, you're too sensitive. And no, you're just overreacting. And you're like, no, I'm not. Because every situation that I've always felt like something's off. And I meet someone, I'm like, something's off. They're not telling the truth. I don't know why. I just feel it. And you're always right. If you're always right, then you're listening to the right part of you, something inside you. You're listening to your flame, something that is telling you that this situation is off. You need to leave. The environment that you're in is off. You need to get out of here. But the world keeps trying to tell you, like, oh, you're overreacting, or no, you're just making this up in your head. And it's like, no, listen to yourself. And I would try to, like, push that aside, because people would tell me that, no, you're making this up. And then it would always come out to be however how I felt it was. I'd meet someone and I would be like, they would act really nice, and I would feel like, I don't know, something's off. The way they act, the way they are, it just doesn't seem real. And if you've met people like this, and then it turns out they do something and stab you in the back, or they had some ulterior motive when they met you, and it happens to me all the time. And then you realize it's like you need to tune into that frequency where you're intuitive, because that's the frequency that's going to tell you where to go in life. But we cover it up, we squash it, because the world tells us, like, no, don't listen to that part. You're overreacting. I would get that when I was younger all the time. You're overreacting. And it's no, it's just in your head. It's not in my head, it's in my heart. I could feel it in all of my bones in my body, that when I meet someone and they're super nice, or something's, and I could feel when people are being genuine. And I feel like I left the situation, I feel like, I don't know why, but I just really like that person. And I left situations where, like, I don't know why the person was really nice. People are like, oh, that person was really nice. And you're like, I don't know, I feel like something was off. You just feel like something was off. And if you ever felt that way, like, let me know in the comments, because I know I'm not the only one that's ever felt that. But I know that the world can be really tough on us sometimes, because if you're sensitive to energies, you're sensitive to people, you're sensitive to everything. But then you're also sensitive to feeling things that are good feelings. You're sensitive when you're in nature, you could feel nature. You're sensitive when you're with people and the connections you make. You're sensitive to your heart, and listening to your heart, and listening to what your heart desires. And you're sensitive to going into places that people would never go, because they're not sensitive, and they were at a point, but they tuned it out. And I think that's why a lot of people that we deal with addiction, I try to drown that out for so long. I'm trying to drown that feeling out, because sometimes it's so much. But if you look at most of the creative people in the world, they're super sensitive. You have to. If you're a songwriter, you're not gonna you have to be sensitive to everything. You have to be very intuitive. You write books, same thing. You're creative in any sense. You're intuitive, you're sensitive. And you could be very impulsive too, because in an environment where everything is sensitive and you're very intuitive, it's like you have to be impulsive, because your safety is at jeopardy. And I've been impulsive my whole life. I'm work really hard not to be, and I've done, I think, a lot better than what I have. But still, in situations come up and I feel something's off, it's like I get impulsive, because it's like I know I need to run, and sometimes I need to run when I don't. And I mean, we have to. It's this area where we have to constantly work on. And if you're just going around with the crowd, you just, whatever the person to the left and whatever the person to the right is doing, you just follow them, follow the leader, right? Follow the crowd, because then you don't have to be sensitive, you don't have to be impulsive, you don't have to make your own choices. The TV tells you what to do, your teachers tell you what to do. Forget being impulsive, forget being sensitive. They're going to tell you, they're show you the road. This is what you got to do. You got to have a career, you got to do this. oh, this is bad now. Toxic men are bad now. And if you're even somewhat alpha male, you're toxic. And it's like, what are you talking? People, they just make this stuff up. So, dude, yeah, there's toxic men, but you lump them all together, then you put every single person, like any man in that group, and it's not true. It's like me saying every woman is promiscuous because of the stuff they wear, and it's like when we start judging people like that, we judge them. We don't get to know them as a person, and I felt that my whole life. I'm so easily judged. Oh, you have muscles, you must be toxic now. That's the thing. You if you're good looking, you're toxic. You must be a fuck boy, right? And I hear this stuff all the time. I'm like, I'm none of those. But that's what society tells us, and people just sit there and listen on Instagram to these whatever people are regurgitating from other people. And it's just regurgitated stuff from people who don't know any better. And then it regurgitates all the way down to school and teachers and parents. And I think you just have to keep listening to your heart. Then that's that intuition. And being sensitive is being intuitive. And when we are sensitive, we are intuitive, we can figure out what we really want in life. Because when you're not sensitive and you're not intuitive, you just go along with the crowd because you don't know what you want. You don't know what truly deep down, like, what's going to make you happy because you never even thought about it. When you're super sensitive, you're constantly reflecting on everything. And I would beat myself up about any situation. I always thought maybe I could have handled that better. And of course, everyone, we handle situations, we could do it way better every time. But we beat ourselves up. Oh, I shouldn't have said this. I shouldn't have done this. Well, if someone else does something to us, they just walk away and they don't give a shit. And I talk about this story about this guy that I called him. He was messing with my dog with an umbrella at a dog park. Like, he took an umbrella to a dog park and he started twirling it at my dog Rocky, and he was like messing with him like constantly for about a minute or so. And Rocky was barking, was getting aggressive, and the guy's just laughing, sitting there. And I was like, and he sat, and then he walked by me. And he said, "I guess he's never been to a golf course before." And I'm like, why would I bring him to a golf course? I don't golf, and I don't think they even allow dogs golfing. But then I saw the guy a few days later, and he yelled at my dog, told him not to bark. And I'm thinking, you were having my dog barking with a freaking umbrella. And then yesterday I saw him, and part of me was going to go apologize because I called him. I said, I was impulsive and I called him fat. And I said, you know what, maybe you need to lose a couple 100 pounds and then you can come talk to me. And I left the situation, and back in the day, I would have probably strangled the guy. Like, I would have gotten a fight with him, like literally got in his face. That's how impulsive I would have been. And I just left the situation. And the girl that I met earlier, she like texted me and was like, "You want to reflect on what you could have done better?" And I'm like, "No, I already know what I could have done better. I shouldn't have called him fat. Yeah, but like, we shouldn't give him excuses for being fat. I don't care what his problem is. Maybe he has medications or whatever." And it's like, I no one gives me any excuses for having addiction problems. No one says, "Oh, he deals with addiction. That's why he's this way. He's impulsive." I could have said, "Well, you know what? I battle with benzo withdrawal all day. I don't sleep at night. That's why I was impulsive." But I don't get an excuse. I don't have an excuse. So I run by this guy, and part of me is like, "Oh, I should apologize." And then I'm like, "This guy never apologized to me for messing with my dog." And when I brought it up to him that day when he was talking to the girl, and I was like, he yelled at my dog, "Get your dog, stop barking." And I said, like I said, "You're yelling at my dog?" I said, "You're the one that freaked my dog out the other day, and you brought an umbrella to a dog park." And he looked at the girl and he gave that, those people that kind of like look like, like you're crazy. And I got that look from my dad all the time, so it really dug deep. It was like, got me where that spot. When people get you, they dig you, and it's just like they rub you the wrong way. And it was like he rubbed me so many wrong ways. And he looked at the girl like, what is he talking about? Like, trying, like I made it up. And so I saw the guy sitting on a bench. He's not running, he's not walking. I mean, he can walk. He can lose some weight, and it's just because he's fat. It doesn't mean like he's a bad person or anything, but it's because of his actions. That's what he did. But I shouldn't have called him fat. I know that. And I see the guy, and I was like, should I apologize? And I was like, you know what? I shouldn't stop feeling bad for other people when they don't give a shit about me. He could apologize to me and said, you know what, I'm sorry. Like when I said you brought an umbrella and you were messing with my dog, and he could have said, you know what, I'm sorry. I didn't know that would have that bothered you or it bothered your dog. I shouldn't have done that, right? He could have said that. He didn't say that. So I'm like, you know what? I need to stop feeling sorry for other people and sorry for not doing what I think I should have done. Yeah, because you know what? As long as I reflect on it, I reflected on it. I thought about. I was felt bad all day, and then I knew I should have never called them fat. And as long as I don't do it again or I try hard not to do it again, that's all that matters. And I'm sitting there beating myself up. This guy doesn't give a shit. He doesn't even give. He was manipulative from the start. He was trying to like hit on the girl, and I was like, you know what? And the girl texted me like, "Do you want to reflect on this?" Like, and I'm thinking, you weren't even there when he did this to my dog, so don't try to tell me to reflect. And people are gonna tell you like, "Oh, what you did bad" and all this stuff, and they don't even know the whole story. So as long as you know what you did bad, that's all you can do. You could say sorry if you want, but a lot of times I bet you I would have said sorry to him, and he would have been like, "Yeah, I deserved an apology" or something, and then it would have pissed me off even more. And he would never apologize for what he did. So don't feel bad because you're sensitive and you're intuitive, because it works both ways. Sometimes we make mistakes because of it, but sometimes if we listen to it, it drives us in great places. And the world tells us to squash it out. It's constantly trying to squash us out because there's not a lot of highly sensitive, intuitive people in the world. Most people are not sensitive, and most people are not intuitive. Most people are not introverts. It's like an extroverted world. Make conversations, even if they're small talk. I can't do small talk. I run and I see people. I don't make conversations with random people. The only people I make random conversations with are homeless people, and because I just feel bad for them, and I feel like, and I don't do it out of pity or something. I just feel like no one talks to them. I feel like I see them, and other people walk by them and they don't talk to them. They don't see them. So I'd rather have a conversation with them than have a conversation with some random person about if it's gonna rain tomorrow. Have you seen the forecast? It's real sunny today. Like how many people hate those small talk conversations? You talk to someone and you just feel like, oh man, I was talking to this person 10 minutes about freaking the weather and I don't give a shit the weather. I just deal with it. Wake up, it's raining. I'll freaking run, work out. It's sunny. I'll deal with it. It's sunny. I don't care, But it's like just talking about small. It's just such. It eats me alive to do small talk. And when someone's doing small talk to me, I'm like, oh my god, please get me out of here. And I learned some small talk. I'm like, no, it's just a waste of time. I have better things to do than do small talk. And when you start living your life and you're like in your flame and you start doing you don't have time for that. You're like, I have better things to do. You're just bored. You're just bored. So let those people do small talk with someone else. If you're living your life the way you want to live your life, and you're like, I have got limited time on this earth, and I want to do things with my life, fuck the small talk. Get rid of that shit. And if you're sensitive and you're intuitive, you're gonna leave that conversation and be like, oh man, that was horrible. And I'll talk to people when they talk about authentic stuff and they're talking about real shit. If they want to talk about like, hey man, I deal with depression, I deal with like just things in my head I've dealt with my whole life. I'm highly anxious and I'm intuitive. And then when people talk about that stuff, or if they're like, I deal with addiction, and I'm like, I'd love to listen to those conversations. Or they want to talk about the universe and astrophysics and why we're here and all the real shit. I want to listen to real shit. And I'll talk to you with people like that for days. And people that have more wisdom than me, I'll talk to them for days because I can get something out of it. If the astrophysicist is talking about the universe, I want to listen. And if someone's talking about something they don't freaking know, and they're just trying to regurgitate, especially the politics, man, don't listen. Don't try to get in conversation with people with politics, because regardless of what you believe in and what they believe in, it's just, who cares? You're not gonna make this. You're not gonna change it. The only way you can change something is change yourself, and then you change other people by changing yourself. And you don't realize it, but when you start changing yourself, you start changing other people. But don't change being intuitive, and don't change being sensitive, because those things are they're true and they're real to you. And we need more people that are highly sensitive and highly intuitive, because that changes the world. So don't squash that. If you're highly sensitive and you're highly intuitive and you're creative, let me know in the comments. Let me know what you had to deal with. Let me know if you're creative, what are you creative at? And what is being highly sensitive and intuitive, what does that do for you? And are you impulsive? Maybe I'm the only one that's impulsive. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. This is Dan with Live Life in Your Flame. And I'd like to know, because this is something that has gone on for plagued me for the rest of my life. And I used to think it was a curse, but it's a blessing too. So let me know in the comments. I'll see you guys in the next video.